And welcome back to the CSS podcast. I am your host, Dave Wolfers. That gentleman in the middle of your screen is Charlie Crawley, and the gentleman on the far right is Sam Wolfers. This is our 20th episode, and we are recording on the 20th. I don't know what that means. It could be a good thing for our Cincinnati podcast. Hopefully we can get some more listeners and subscribers, and we can't do it without you and our fans. So won't you please hit that like button, subscribe, turn on the notification button so you don't miss any of our new drops, and tell all your friends and coworkers about the latest Cincinnati Sports Scene podcast. We have another outstanding show for you today. We'll be recapping the Bengals instant reaction to the victory over the Steelers. We'll also recap the Bearcats football and basketball squads along with Xavier Hoops, some high school football playoff results, and our drink of the week, and some trivia questions. And the topic of the week this week is the Reds 40-man roster moves. So, but before we get into any of that, the first action that we're going to talk a little bit about is reviewing our votes from the sports movie draft. And we have a two-way tie here. Carly, did you get any votes out there from your Facebook post, or didn't you not post anything?
Yeah, I needed to post it still.
Well, since we are recording, it's done. So
we can always get updates throughout the year.
The live updates, throughout the year. Okay,
exactly.
All right. Rosa came away with 2 here, and I had 2 as well. Sam had 1, and Crawley had 1. So as of 8:01 on Sunday night, Rosa and I tied for first place. So congratulations to Rosa. And I still have not lost a draft yet. So I'll take that as a victory, All right, now let's get into the week that was.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I just thought of something. I have 2 votes.
You have 2 votes from who?
Hubbard and that person Farr texted us about.
It's not official.
What's official?
They had to click on the thing.
Click on the thing. What does that even mean? So I'm even disputing the vote count. This is definitely this needs to go. This needs to go under a recount already.
All right, Lake. Just this is coming from a guy that could have swayed the vote with the swing states if he would just posted something on his social media thing when I sent it to him on Monday. But no, he did not want to. He thought his cred carried enough weight, but apparently did not. So right now,
anyway.
As of right now, it's 2-2-1-1. So there.
Okay.
All right, let's go. Anyway. Let's go with the high school football playoffs recaps. A couple takeaways. Wyoming, 14-0, 7-0 versus Taft. Defensive struggle. Moeller with a big-time win, 18-point victory over Lakota West. And that's without Marshall playing in the second half. So I don't know if he'll be able to play next week or not, because I thought he might be in concussion protocol. But we will see what happens. Is he? All right.
Mm-hmm. And Moeller used takeaways. Just the fact that Moeller used a freshman quarterback that hadn't thrown a pass up above JV level, and they didn't bring him in. I think he played a little bit in the game before, and then he plays, on Friday night. That's pretty ballsy to bring a guy who is basically your JV quarterback and make him your starter when you're playing at the level that they're playing. So pretty impressive for that kid to be able to do that. So
that is true. So shout out to them. Any takeaways from either of the games or besides that? Because I just think, with Hester and Marshall running the ball and relying on their defense, that's probably the strategy moving forward. The Final Four Next round matchups, Wyoming plays Steubenville at Historic Cruise Stadium, and Moeller will play Springfield at Piqua.
Yeah, Moeller lost to Springfield last year in the same spot, so in the state semifinal. So Springfield won by, I think, 1 point, kind of came down to the end. So this will be, it seems like, well, other than Moeller and Lakota West, because that finished the same way as it did last year, but it seems like there's a lot of flip-flopping going on throughout the playoffs this year in terms of team that won last year doesn't win this year and that kind of thing. So Moeller's hoping that streak continues.
All right. We'll go. Good luck to the two local teams here from Cincinnati that are still in the high school football playoffs. Hopefully, one of you will, or both of you, could bring a state championship home in a couple of weeks. Moving on to the Bearcats football program. They were number 25 in the AP poll, but they moved up, I believe, to number 21 this week with a nice win, 23-3. Victory over the Temple Owls in Temple. Ben Bryant was injured, so Evan Prater came in. He played the entire second half and probably halfway through the second quarter, I believe.
Mid-second quarter.
Yeah, and the defense stepped up and pretty much dominated the game. The offense struggled, I think. Just watching it back and forth between the other games, it just seemed that they just couldn't get things going. When Brian had a couple explosive plays for the first touchdown, but after that, it just seemed that they were struggling a little bit, and it could have been weather, wind, those type of things, because it was windy on Saturday. So anybody watch the game?
Yeah, I watch it. It's the offense was as it is. They twice got down to the 1 yard line and didn't score a touchdown. So that's how it's been. All season long they've had trouble. Once they get down in the red zone, they just can't get it. They just don't score touchdowns. So you get to the one twice and don't score a touchdown. And they were one with Bryant and one with Prater. So it didn't matter to change quarterback on that. So their lack of a running game has. That's where it is. Their offensive line just doesn't get enough push. So they, so when you're in that position, they struggle getting the ball in. But Temple, they couldn't capitalize. They're not good at all. Playing in that stadium was an embarrassment. If I was Temple, there must have been 30 people. There's more people on this podcast right now than there was watching that game, live in that stadium. Come on, that's a college football game atmosphere. It's ridiculous.
That was it.
Off campus.
They play at the Eagle Stadium, then just don't play there. Then don't play if you can't get people there. Then play somewhere else. Something. Local high school better than that. Because I'm sure they have to pay a lot to use that stadium. Temple does. I'm sure the Eagles aren't giving it to them as a charity gift. So unless there's some, I don't know. Eagles probably don't own it, whatever. But I don't know. That was one takeaway from it. Was just that if I was why would you want to go to Temple and play in front of 13 people?
I think because they had 10 more people than the Texas A&M game. So that was horrible. That was bad. Oh,
I think that was a protest there. So
it might have been, but
they need those ticket sales so they can buy out Jimbo. So I don't know what the fans are doing out there.
Yeah, they're not going to buy out Jimbo this year. He's $94 million.
I think his buyout's at 85. So
something like that. Yeah. So he's got like 4 years until it gets below 50. I think it is.
Because it decreases with the salary each year. So
right. So it could happen. You got some rich oil people down there, but you get fed up, and they have not scored over 30 points. I think it was or 30. Yeah, I think they were favored. Just on a side note, they were favored. The spread was like 33 or 34 point victory. And this is coming from a team that hadn't scored more than 34 points since October of last year. So you're talking about offensive woes.
Playing UMass too, probably the worst FBS school.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, enough of the fans not in the stands.
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to the game, like I agree, like the defense, played as the defense should. They limited them about 200 yards, and I guess Temple had scored. I saw something like Temple over the last two games had over 1,000 yards combined in 2 games. So they must have some offensive talent. But the UC defense came to play, so that was good.
Yes, they did.
They did.
And then next week it's for the hosting rights.
Yeah.
Friday night or Friday afternoon game, I believe.
Friday afternoon at noon.
Yep.
Thank you, Navy. Navy beat UCF to give at UCF too. I'm sure the 500 people were at that game probably were not happy. So, so yeah, I mean, Navy, that was, never would have thought that was going to happen. So, they've given UC a chance. UC wins, and they host the AAC championship game the following Saturday, or whenever it is, probably Saturday.
Yeah, it is the following Saturday. Who would it be? Would it be UCF or would it be?
If UCF wins, then UCF would be coming to UC for a revenge game.
All right.
So, if UCF loses, I don't know. It could be Houston. It could be Tulane still. I don't know. There's a couple scenarios. Now, if UC loses, they're out. I mean, I think they're out.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So, all right. Unless, everybody loses, but everybody can't lose.
Right.
So.
Yeah, Tulane would be ahead of them. And,
right. Because that's who's coming into town, right?
Tulane. Right. Yeah.
So that's a big one there. So they need to play better, and Nippert needs to be rocking at 1:00 or noon or whatever it is on a Friday.
Noon, Black Friday at noon.
Black Friday at noon. Don't eat too much turkey so you're not asleep in the stands. So let's go Bearcats. Let's make it 3 in a row. You got anything to add, Sam, on the game?
I was able to watch the second half, and Prater was pretty inaccurate when he was throwing the ball. So, I mean, I think you see why they went with Ben Bryant. But I do think if Bryant can't go next week, with a full week to game plan for Prater, they'll be able to get some more QB runs and read plays involved in the game plan, hopefully to kind of juice up the running game. Because if he has to go, I don't know how effective the passing game will be.
Yeah, that is true. So hopefully, they'll work it out. They'll figure it out, and hopefully, Bryant is healthy and he can play. And if not, Prater will step up and showcase the Mr. Football that he won and why he won that. So. All right, basketball, UC. Let's talk about UC. They took a whooping at NKU on Tuesday night, 64-51. The quote, I love the quote by Wes Miller when they asked, what happened to you, and he said it's kind of hard to win a ball game if you only score 11 points in a quarter and or a half, and that's exactly what happened. In the second half of that game, 11 points. This is what when we had our preview on with Kyle, this is the one thing that I said. It's like if UC cannot improve on their outside shooting, it could be another long year for them. They were 6 of 21 from 3, and then they shot 34% overall from the field. And I know it's Northern Kentucky. I don't think they took them lightly. I don't think that's the kind of coach Wes would be. But, the place was almost at capacity at 8,500. And, they're right on top of you. So I don't know if that – obviously that had to play into it a little bit. But, it's just one of those things, I guess, where you're the big dog on the block, and little brother is out, giving you 100% every time on every play, and they came up victorious. So congrats to the Norse.
Yeah, hopefully it's just a kind of a dud of a game, a one-off. I saw you said 11 points, 4 made field goals in the second half. That's that's extremely hard to do. I don't know, especially, when on paper you see as the better team. It's not like you see as a crappy team going up against, number one team in the country. It's not that kind of game. So to only get 4 made field goals in a half is that I think you just kind of have to chalk that off, hopefully, as just a one-off, and it's not going to happen again.
But now it's on tape, right? And people are going to be watching the tape, and I think the Norse ran some sort of matchup zone a little bit, and that just really screwed up UC's continuity offense. So, they look to rebound Monday, tomorrow night, in Maui, which, hey, if you're going to lose to the Norse, I mean, what better way to get over that loss than going to Hawaii and playing. Unfortunately, got to play Arizona, but that should be a decent game Monday night. I think it's a 10 p.m. tip. So those of you that are on the West Coast or out in Colorado time, you'll be able to watch that at a decent time, unlike us folks here in the Natty. So, got any thoughts on Bearcat basketball moving forward, or should we go to the game that mattered on Friday night, the Xavier IU game, which IU pulled out a victory, 81-79. A couple of my takeaways, Trace Jackson Davis he's a stud. He could score at any time he wanted to against Xavier, and I think the pivotal point was with I can't remember, 30 seconds left when Xavier had the ball, or 20 seconds left or whatever, their last possession, and I don't know if the guy was looking for a foul, but he fell down and traveled or threw the ball away or whatever it was. It was just
jump ball, yeah.
Yeah, what are you doing?
He just hit that big three, and so I guarantee you he was feeling himself a little bit, and he wanted to hit the shot, because it looked like the way who I can't even remember who was coming off. It was supposed to be a dribble handoff play from the looks of it, and he just kind of stopped. He got bumped. It wasn't a foul. It went down pretty easily, and then they didn't have any timeouts and jump ball, and IU got it and missed their free throws, which I kind of wanted to run that by you, because that last possession just seemed once he missed the first free throw, why do you make the second one in that scenario? Because it was a 1-point game, you make it, it's a 2-point game with 2 seconds left. No matter what, Xavier's taking a three. So if they hit the shot, you're losing either way. So why are you even giving them the potential to inbound the ball and not off of a scramble free throw?
Well, because
rebounding situation.
Here's because these are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, and sometimes they forget they're up by one and they want to go after a ball because that's what they're trained to do, and they go over the back or they push or they foul, and Xavier goes to the line, shoots a one-on-one, makes two, and they win the game by one. So that's why, I don't fault them for that at all.
No, I don't either. I was just kind of more curious, because that in my mind, I'm thinking, just miss it here and don't allow them the opportunity to inbound the basketball, throw it, and get a closer shot. But I don't really have a problem with it either. But
any takeaways from the game, Crawley? Did you watch it?
I didn't watch it, actually. I read up on it or whatever, but there's never. I'm not a big fan of moral victories, but Indiana's a pretty high quality team. For them to, Xavier to go head to head with them is a good sign, and they're going to be tested coming up with this tournament that they're in too. So, we'll find out, at least at this point of the season, both UC and Xavier where they really are at with over this next week, with the teams that they have to play. So,
yeah. Now, being a Purdue guy, I wouldn't say I use high quality right now, but they do have some good players and some good pieces, and I do think Mike Woodson is doing a good job for them at IU. And they were averaging, coming into the game, they were averaging 94 in their first two games. So they were putting up points, but they weren't playing the caliber team of Xavier or Big Ten play. So we'll see where that goes during the Big Ten play. But speaking of Xavier, they do play in the Phil Knight Legacy on Thursday. They play Florida. And I don't know what Florida has. I don't know if they're going to be better than the football team or what, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's a big game. I know one of the things that I wanted to, a lot of people, like you said, Charlie, were taking this moral victory, and they were saying that Sean Miller's got Xavier back. They're back, and because of they lost by 2 to IU, and I'm scratching my head on that, saying, well, IU hasn't been real good either the last couple of years. They've been average, they've been decent, but not, it's not like knocking off Villanova or a Duke or North Carolina, something like that. But I don't know. It's too early in the year to see who's good, who's not.
Yeah.
And, it'll play out, and these tournaments are fun. So I think we'll see some quality basketball, some really good games over Thanksgiving.
And Xavier potentially plays Duke in the second round.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully they'll come out victorious there and get a good showing, get them ready for a Big East play.
I would, and basketball preseason rankings or whatever are the most, college basketball preseason rankings are the least important rankings that ever exist. So they make preseason college football rankings look like, the best rankings ever. I mean, college basketballs,
They do.
Because they're completely worthless.
They are. All right, let's move on to our instant reactions of the Bengals victory over the Steelers, 37-30. It was a little touch and go there until about midway through the third quarter. And then Joe Burrow had a typical Bengal drive. Joe Burrow drive went 90 yards, 8 plays, 5 minutes. And, that's pretty much sealed the game, or at least put them in a comfortable spot. And then Pittsburgh on the ensuing drive, they had that, they went backwards, 1st and 25, and they just couldn't get out of their own way. And I think that's where, the momentum shift and the Bengals took control.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking a little bit before we started. Like, I never really felt like they were going to lose the game, but I just didn't feel like they ever pulled away either. Because I thought they played well. It was just the 2 Burrow picks came at, it seemed like, the worst time. It allowed the Steelers, I think they scored off of both of those. And so it just kind of kept them hanging around just right there with us. But other than that, I thought offensively we played really well. I thought the defense was fine. They weren't great. They made their second half adjustments like they usually do. So I thought they played okay. And I mean, we got the win, got a divisional win on the board. We're in a playoff spot right now. So, I mean, you can't really have too many negatives from the game. So,
yeah, I agree with all that. And I think it was important that, Burrow, again, without Chase, Burrow played well. A lot of other guys stepped up. I mean, Trent Irwin, whoever that is, had
the
3
crocodile
catches.
hunter is what is trending on Twitter right now.
3 catches and a touchdown. I mean, you're throwing 3 balls and a touchdown to Trent Irwin. You should be winning the game.
Yeah. P-Ryan with 3 touchdowns also. So.
Yeah, 3 passing touchdowns to P-Ryan. I think I saw a stat that early in the game that said there were 6 Bengals that had 20+ yard receptions. So, I mean, that's what they have to do. I mean, T. Higgins was a monster out there tonight. I mean, he was probably overall the MVP, if you don't count the crocodile hunter. But, T. Higgins just destroyed the Steelers secondary. I mean, balls just left and right. I mean, he basically was Chase, what Chase is, just in a little different way. So that was my favorite part of it, was just that Burrow. I like that he's willing to throw it to, if you're open, throw it to him. I don't care who it is. So, I wish they would do that against the Browns. I still don't understand that. They also, I mean, TJ Watt had his moments, but he definitely did not look. It wasn't the first game TJ Watt where he won the game for the Steelers. He had that interception, which was ridiculous. That's maybe the greatest play. Even the announcer was going crazy on that, how good that was.
Well, that's two. So, he did that for week one, and now.
And this one was even more ridiculous because he was engaged in a block and just
he was falling. He was falling sideways from a block.
Yeah.
JJ Watt was good at that too, tipping balls and getting things up. I don't know. Burrow is not. There's one thing about him. He seems his balls get knocked down at the line more. I feel like more than other quarterbacks.
That's what we were talking about before you came on. It was like there was 5 tips, including the interception with Watt. So 5 that were tipped or touched at the line of scrimmage, and one of them led to, both of them. 2 of them were intercepted, and I don't know. I mean,
it's almost like because they're all shorter passes. It seems like he's trying to hit a check down and he's taking a little bit off of it, slowing his motion down a little bit, allowing guys to get his hands up. That's what it kind of looks like to me.
And anytime you run those quick passes, the defense knows that they can't get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Put your hands up, right? Unlike our defense that engages the offensive lineman and try to bull rush them every single time. And, rookie quarterbacks just eating us up, thrown to the damn tight end every single time, or whoever Eli Apple was guarding. That's what I think our offense needs is, more Hayden Hurst over the middle seam. I just think that if you look at teams that are successful, they usually have a decent tight end that can create mismatches. And, the Steelers had the kid out of Iowa. I can't even.
Freiermuth.
Yeah, Freiermuth.
Yeah.
And he just, second leading receiver for him next to Pickens. And, it's just one of those things that we have a hard time covering tight ends. And,
Burrow just, I think, just feels like either whether it's the scheme or just Burrow's preference. I mean, even though he does distribute, and I like that, he still wants to get it to the outside. I mean, Higgins is by far, tonight he was by far the primary target. Chase typically is. If they're one-on-one, he seems to lock in pretty good on either of those two
matchups. Yeah,
usually do his best receivers versus the guys in the middle, whatever. So I mean, Boyd didn't do much tonight. So
until the fourth quarter,
a couple catches, but again, my big takeaway was the offensive line compared obviously the first time they played Pittsburgh. It wasn't. They still weren't great. I mean, they weren't we're not winning any Pro Bowl awards here or anything, but they were significantly better. I mean, than they were the first game. So whether whatever that means, hopefully it just means that that's how much improvement they've had over the last 10 weeks, and that's another positive sign. So,
all right, they are in 7th place now. Since they got the head-to-head over the Jets, and they're both 6-4. So hopefully, So
Zach Wilson, man,
frauds.
He's awful.
Goodness,
they're 8 and they're in 8th place now, the Jets, and San Diego plays.
They're not San Diego anymore, but that's all right.
They are to me. So hey, look, we're in the jungle, man. We're in the jungle still. So the Chargers, there you go, play the Chiefs tonight in Arrowhead, I believe. So
the Chargers
I think it's in LA.
It's in LA,
or it is because I'm watching. It's on literally on TV in front of me. So.
Okay.
The Chargers win, they move into the 7th spot, bump the Bengals back out.
Bump the Bengals back out. So
I'm not anticipating that to happen, but we'll see.
You never know. Crazier things have, but the Bengals control their destiny. I think.
Yeah, they do.
That doesn't matter. Bengals win most of the games. They're in the playoffs. So
Yep.
And it starts next week. They got to go against the Titans in Tennessee. So that should be another
close one. It'll be a close one.
Yeah, it'll be a close one. Another field goal.
It's. I don't know if Tannehill's going to be playing or not. So we'll have to see who the quarterback
Tannehill played.
is.
Tannehill played today.
Oh, did he play today?
Okay. Well, Thursday. They played Thursday against the Packers.
He played Thursday, and he had like 300 some yards.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. I didn't know if he come back yet or not. I didn't watch that game. So
yeah, they stacked the box on Henry, and Tannehill had a good game.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order for the Bengals? The only thing
Crispin looked good punting.
He did. I mean, flipped the field a couple of times.
Yeah.
And oh my God, he actually could hold for a kick. I mean, I can't believe it. I thought only Kevin Huber in the whole country could place hold for a kicker. So the fact that where did that come from? I mean, come on. I mean, I thought that was near impossible.
My only question, I guess, of the special teams is why were we allowing Pittsburgh to return kicks? I mean, and they were short kicks. I mean,
it was the wind. So they were showing it. It seemed like whenever Pittsburgh kicked, it didn't matter.
Right.
But there were several times where the flags were whipping on the uprights.
Well, hopefully we won't have that in Tennessee next week. But all right, we're going to move on now to our trivia and beer of the week or drink of the week. I'm just taking it easy tonight. A little Miller Lite. Tastes great, less filling, and only one more calorie than Mick Ultra. So, plus I got water over here, which is one and the same. So, anybody out there having anything different?
I've got another sparkling ice.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, at least your beer's better than what they're getting over in Qatar. So,
well, yeah, they're not getting anything over there, are they?
No, not during the games, anyways. So.
No.
I heard though, if you're in the rich suite, you can get some.
Yeah, you can. Yes, I think those tickets are like $20,000 a game. So
if you're in just the general public seats, now you can't. But if you got enough money, you get what you can want. So.
Yeah. All right. So before we go into the trivia, I think you two want to talk a little bit about preview the World Cup for our fans, even though I don't think we have anybody from FC Cincinnati on the World Cup team, do we?
Not the U.S. team, but there's a couple guys in the World Cup, so it counts.
Okay. There you go. All right. Since it counts, go ahead. Take it away.
I mean, basically, we start tomorrow. We've got Wales. You only play 3 games in your group. So first game's obviously the most important. I think historically, if you win your first game, your chances of going to the knockout rounds are way better than if you don't, obviously. So I think it's critical that we get 3 points against Wales because England's going to be a tough matchup. And then,
Uh-oh.
Sam short.
Bye-bye.
I was hopefully. He did just say something bad about Qatar, and then maybe
they cut him off, man. The picture said no.
Yeah, the sheiks. That guy. The sheiks might have heard that. So
we do have a listener from Iran, so you never know.
Well, I guess I'll pick up for where he was at.
You better pick up.
I'm not no criticism at all. Just and what Sam said about the winning your first game, I think it's like 84%. If you win your first game, 84% of the teams make it to the knockout round. So it's super important. Wales and US are probably fairly similar in terms of their kind of standing in the world. So they each have certain positions that they're better than the other one in. So this is the game to get to go after. So. A lot of U.S. has the 3rd youngest roster in the World Cup. Ecuador, who won today, had the 4th or 5th youngest roster, and they dominated their game. So, hopefully the youth will just be naive in a good way. Not worry about the good news is most of the U.S. guys who are young play high level soccer around the world. So it's not like they're not used to bright lights and a lot of pressure. I mean, these guys play under tremendous pressure when they play for their club teams in these around the world. So hopefully that'll kind of soften this idea of like, I'm in the World Cup, bright lights, oh my God. So yeah, I think they should win though.
All right. Yeah, I think they should too.
So. 1 o'clock tomorrow.
2.
I thought it said 1.
I think that's pregame.
2 o'clock for the game.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
So perfect. I'll be out of there, so I don't have to sub for everybody. But 2 o'clock, turn in at 1 o'clock for all the pregame hype and festivities. All right, moving on now to the trivia. If you would like to participate in the trivia, you can always email us at csspodcast@yahoo.com or DM us on Instagram or Twitter at Cincy Sports Scene. So, Crawley, I think you had last week's trivia question. Go ahead, give us the question, and let's see if we can come up with the answer here real quick.
Question was, who were, since the recruiting services, the official recruiting services came out and rated high school prospects and for college basketball, who have been the highest rated recruits in UC and Xavier basketball history? That was the question.
I will say Danny Fortson, and then Xavier would be Soto.
I was thinking Lance for UC. I didn't really have a good guess for Xavier.
Lance is correct for UC. He was the ninth rated prospect when he came out. And the Xavier guy, I remember last week, I think people were throwing out some names, but nobody, if I remember right, did not throw this name out. Samaj Christian. Samaj Christian was the highest rated, who at one point went to Winton Woods, but then I think went to a prep school for the last year or two. So,
that's right.
But he's been the highest rated recruit so far.
All right. Well, hopefully that'll change. All right.
I don't know. It's tough to beat the 9th highest recruit.
That is tough.
Well, UC almost had it this year. They had a guy. They had the fifth highest come down to them in USC.
Yeah.
So.
Alrighty, sorry. I have this week, right?
Yep.
All right, so since it's baseball award season, we're gonna do some award trivia. So, question is, since pitchers can no longer win the Silver Slugger Award, what pitcher won the most Silver Slugger awards in MLB history? And I will give you a hint. He won 5.
5.
Any guesses?
I'm going to say Don Sutton.
It's a good guess, but he is not it.
I thought Jim Cat, but he won more Gold Gloves, I believe. So I don't think Jim Cat. Or is it Jim Cat?
It's not Jim Cat.
Okay.
Yeah, my first thought, but I think it was also a Gold Glove issue versus Silver Slugger was Greg Maddux.
It's not Greg Maddux. He's the Gold Glove guy.
Yeah.
I think he's got like 13 Gold Gloves or something like that.
Could it be his partner in crime, Chicks Dig the Long Ball, Talbot Clavin?
It's not him. No.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, that's a good one. Well, find out next week. Find out next week the answer to that, and I'll have a new trivia question. So, again, if you think you know the answer to the question, you can email us at Cincy or csspodcast@yahoo.com or direct message us on Instagram or Twitter at Cincy Sports Scene. All right, so now we are moving into the topic of the week, and it is the Cincinnati Reds 40-man roster, and we also have some Bengals midseason grades. So, real quick, I know Crawley and he was going to ask the question on the podcast, but unfortunately it came to fruition ahead of time. And his
the farmer question.
Yeah, he said, who would you rather have, Buck Farmer or Kyle Farmer? Well, the Reds spoke, and they would much rather have Buck Farmer's $1.75 million contract instead of Kyle Farmer's probably $5.8 million arbitration contract. So that was the big news. One of the big news is Friday, and Kyle got traded for. Let's see, who did he get traded for?
Some relief pitcher.
Yeah. Casey
Linguima or something.
Yeah, Leguimina. Yeah, Legumina. Legumina. So, welcome to Cincinnati. A couple of the moves. No surprises on who they added to the 40-man. Eladella Cruz, Marte, Brandon Williamson, Karcher, Stout, and Richardson. They designated, Aquino, Hoffman, Law, Solomon, Warren, and Kyle Downey for assignment, and they all elected to go the free agent route. So that means that Aquino could be back in Cincinnati manning right field, on a show clause deal, which don't put it by these.
I think he will be back.
Cincinnati. Yeah, I do too, because I don't think anybody will take him, and the Reds will.
Cheap right fielder.
Yeah, you like a great arm and good hit for power, sure. But any surprises to the 40-man that you guys? I think it was pretty clear cut, at least from what we're thinking. The
only it's not really even a surprise, but the only thing I saw was they still have 2 open spots on their 40-man. But that's not really a surprise, because if you want to sign big league free agents, you need a spot for them. So,
right.
But yeah, all the prospects that they added to the 40-man, that was pretty much a given. And they should have done that. So, there's no real surprises to me.
Yeah. So talking about the big prospects or the big name free agents, the Reds aren't going to sign that. I think they kept 2 spots open. Maybe they might have one for a free agent, but there might be a Rule 5 guy that they pick up, and they have to stay on the 40-man. So that could be, depending on who is not protected. If the Reds find somebody of value, they could maybe grab them and tag them along. But I don't think they're going to spend a lot of money, even though they have some wiggle room, according to Nick Kroll. But I don't see it.
I was going to say one thing we haven't mentioned yet is they did trade for Kevin Newman from the Pirates. So you basically, in a way, Farmer was traded for the guy that Wolfers can't pronounce, that guy. But
neither can you. So.
Yeah, that's why I'm not trying. But in a sense, Kyle Farmer was traded for Kevin Newman,
right?
Because they're both infielders. Newman's coming in, I would guess, to be the backup kind of rover kind of position. Everything I was reading, they consider Newman to be above average, above Kyle Farmer as a middle infielder.
Right.
So I assume Barrero is going to be given another chance to start the season at short, which Kevin Newman will be your backup and will take over if Barrero continues doing what he's been doing. Spencer Steer goes to third. That'll give him a spot to focus on, be able to, so he'll have a place now as opposed to, being the utility guy. So I figure that's kind of where that move, unless they get other guys, but with the roster as it is now, that would be where they would go.
Unless, I was listening to a couple of other podcasts, Lock On Cincinnati and the Riverfront, and then also Jim Day's podcast. And, they were talking about, does Barrero get a chance? And a lot of them are saying that, it depends on what happens with Kyle Farmer. And now, Farmer's gone, you probably have to stick Barrero at short for the short term until May, when Dela Cruz comes up. And then,
I would say opening day in spring training, Barrero is going to be your shortstop. If he, if he's 3 for 100 in Arizona, then you might make the move. But I think right now, if Kroll was penciling in his lineup, then it would be, you got Barrero at short.
Any trades that you want to see this ball club do? And we've got to be realistic here. We can't say, oh, I would like to trade Aquino for Mike Trout, something like that. That's not going to happen.
Well, we can't trade Aquino. He's not on the roster.
Yeah, so. I know, but he's coming back, so then we can do that. But
I mean, Senzel for Trout seems like a good deal.
Well, yeah, Senzel and
center fielders. We're trading center fielders.
Well, but yeah. So I mean, realistically, that's Angels are going to say no. But any trades out there that you think might be able to help the club, or any free agent signings that you would like to see them explore at least?
I still think they need to get a veteran pitcher, starting pitcher, and to be kind of and not a bum like Mike Minor, but a legitimate who still has something left in the tank. Not just to eat innings, but also to be a mentor to the 3 young guys or 4 young guys if Overton is on that, the 4th guy or whatever. So I've even thought Wade Miley. I know he was injured a lot last year, but when he pitched, he actually pitched pretty well for the Cubs. He just was injured, so I don't know what his status is. But I'd love Wade Miley of 2 years ago would be perfect.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So. But yeah, I think to me, that would be my number one. On my wish list, that's number one.
Yeah, I'd have to second that. A veteran starter, kind of innings eater, and then my other would be a corner outfielder, just another guy similar to what they did with Tommy Pham last year, who, when things inevitably go south, they can maybe flip for a prospect or two, kind of be what I think they should do. And Aquino's not going to be that guy. So bringing him back is not going to solve that. He's not going to solve that issue. I'm trying to look at a list of free agents here to see if I can pick any names. But.
So Mark Sheldon, I believe.
Yeah, he had the 3. I saw that. Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
He had 3 outfielders that the Reds should target. The first one was David Duvall. Bring him back.
Adam Duvall.
Yeah, not David Duvall.
Isn't he the golfer?
Yeah. Hey, he won a couple majors, so
I bet with a golf club he could have a better average than Aquino. Hitting with a golf club.
Yeah, he probably could. Fielding might be a little suspect, sorry, but Adam Duvall. I'm just wishing for warmer weather, I guess. But and then the 2 that are kind of intriguing, especially. The next guy for the Reds would be Andrew Benintendi. I think that would be.
He's going to be too expensive.
Well, the Reds need to maybe with one of these corner outfielders, whether it's Benintendi, Conforto, or maybe not Duvall as much, but they might need to go 3 years. Or 2 years with a, player option.
It would be a Castellanos type deal where there'd be an opt-out after each season kind of thing.
Yeah,
it'd be a similar contract to that.
Yeah, and then that way, especially with Conforto, then he can bet on himself to have a bounce back year and then hit free agency, and or if he's having a really good year, flip them to a contender like they did with a couple of people and maybe get a couple prospects back from them. But, as far as the trade route goes, the corner outfielder could be a spot. It looks like they've got, Freely right now penciled in as one of the spots, but, I think a lot's going to depend on Jonathan India and with, his range. And, last year he was injured pretty much all year with the hamstring and then his blood clot. So I don't think he had the range. So his metrics were way down. And I know when he won the Gold Glove, or not the Gold Glove, but the Rookie of the Year, he wasn't the best, defended second baseman out there, but he was more than adequate. But now with the shift going away, you got to put a premium on somebody who can go pick it at second base. And the Reds have been notorious for finding those fielders that can really go get the job done at second. And so they were talking about maybe moving India to like left field, which probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because you got all their high-level prospects are all middle infielders. So, if those guys are better than India in the middle infield, then, you move them you get them in the outfield with the first bat.
Well, I think McLean is probably targeted as a second baseman, and Marte is the third baseman, and then you have De La Cruz as your shortstop, and then Barrero could maybe move out to center field if he can hit. Because
he's got to be able to hit though. Because if he,
right,
I mean, this is more or less his last chance to kind of prove it with the Reds, anyways. So,
and then
but I guess another guy I wouldn't mind seeing, I guess, get traded from the Reds would be Senzel. I don't know if there'd be any type of market for him or not, but
no, I don't. I mean, swapping. Here's the thing. With Senzel, you're going to swap your bad player for somebody else's bad player, right? So it could be a classic, hey, we need a change of scenery type of thing. I think Senzel could add value to the Reds if, one, he stays healthy and he can start hitting a little bit. He can play the outfield. I think he's going to be who was that guy for the Cubs when Madden had him? He played Ben
Zobrist.
Yeah, Ben Zobrist. Yeah, he could be somebody like that for the Reds where he could play third base if Steer doesn't pan out. He could move, he could play second base, or he could play outfield. It could be one of those things. He could be even DH if he needs to. But I think if he shows his value there, then you might be able to flip him closer towards the trade deadline for a prospect or something. But he was a second or third overall pick for the Reds, and he's got the talent. It's just he just has to figure it out and stay healthy. That's part of it. So the only other thing that I think the Reds really need to look at is backup catcher, right? Because right now they only have one catcher on their 40-man. And that's not going to get it done. So, hopefully they'll be able to find somebody out there in the market. They did have a list of catchers that are available, but two of them are going to be out of the, Contreras is going to be way out of the price. And the guy from Boston, I think, is going to be out of their price tag. So, but every other backup, there was nothing real positive offensively they said about them, and Tucker's on that list as well, and he might not be a bad guy to bring back on a prove it deal and just help these young pitchers along the way as well, calling a game and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, backup catcher, you never get any offensive output out of them anyways, or rarely you do. So it's more kind of how well can they handle a young pitching staff. And I think Barnhart would actually be perfect for that, but he'd have to, want to come back to Cincinnati and take that role. So, which he seems like the type of guy that maybe he would, but, if he gets an better offer to be a starting catcher somewhere, I mean, he's probably not going to choose Cincinnati. So,
no, but if you have Tucker here, it might allow the Reds to push Tyler Stevenson towards first and DHing more. But but Tucker has to produce with the bat because you can't have Tyler Stevenson's bat out of the lineup. And I just don't think, for catcher with Tyler Stevenson, I mean, I think his production behind the plate is just, you don't find that very often. And when you do, you have to ride that wave for as long as possible. All right. Anything else on the Reds front on the 40-man? Nope. All right, let's move on to our Bengals midseason grade. So we have for the offense, the defense, special teams, and coaching. All right, we're just going to go, letter grade, A through F. Who would like to start and where at?
I'll start with the offense. And I did these before the game tonight, so before the Steelers game.
Yep, I did too.
So these do not factor in the Steelers game.
You can correct them if you want to. A little test corrections.
Not right now. Not yet.
You need to, Crowley.
But they did play better than what I have graded. I put the offense at a C-. And for me, the board for mine is just less than their potential. So I kind of looked at potential of each unit and compared that to what their production was. And the offense to me was at best a C-. I think the running game has been poor. Their blocking, their pass blocking still has been pretty poor. Maybe even, there's probably been more D range. Burrow's had moments where he's A, B, throwing the ball around, and the wide receivers have been good. But overall, I gave him a C-, not counting tonight.
Yeah, I had the offense at a C+. I pretty much had, offensive line in the D range. We were just expecting so much, not for them to really even be an A unit, but more B- compared to last year where they were just awful and they haven't really been much better. They've had a couple games where it seemed like they were maybe starting to figure things out, and then they go up against the Myles Garrett and it all just falls apart again. So that's really the only reason why I gave a C+. Otherwise, it probably would have been more of a B. But the line has just been so bad for me.
Yeah, I went straight C just because I think Burrow, he can carry the team, throwing the ball around, slinging it around. The problem is, when you rely too much on the pass with a porous offensive line, you're going to get sacked 31 times, 32 times, and you're going to struggle. And the running game pretty non-existent, except for last week when Mixon had a breakout, or before the bye, I should say, breakout game. But it's been pretty inconsistent. And the guys today on the when they were talking about the Bengals pass rush today against the Kenny Pickett, they were saying that it's easy to rush a passer when they have to pass, right? So, and if the Bengals, keep going away from the run, they can't run the ball, or at least attempt to run the ball. It's going to be tough when we play those really good defensive teams. So I just gave them a C. Sam, where do you want to go next?
We'll go defense next. Defense I had at a B. They had several really good games, but they've had a couple of duds that I think I kind of have to knock them down for. It's been more of that continuation that we saw late last year, where they kind of feel the game out in the first half, make their second half defensive adjustments, and then they really kind of get after it in the second half. I think the pass rush has been solid. Coverage has been solid. The run game was solid for the most part until Reader went out. But so, yeah, overall, they've been a pretty good unit.
Crawley, what do you have for the defensive side of the ball?
I actually went A-. Other than the Cleveland game, I think they've kept the team. They've kept us in the game every game. I think Baltimore, they struggled at the end, but they should. Baltimore got down for the game-winning field goal, but I think they were just super tired out because the offense was so bad against Baltimore. So outside of the Baltimore game and the Cleveland game, I mean, if it was just based on the defense, the Bengals I think would be at least 8-2. It's pretty good. So I gave him an A-. Maybe B+, something like that. But I think they do usually a good job of second half adjustments unless they're super tired from always being on the field. So
yeah,
and they also have no superstars either, which I think. That's so I kind of look at. So again, it's kind of like the offense. I look at their potential, and I think the defense's potential is lower than the offense's based on the names and the talent. But I think they've played above that. So
yeah, I went B. I was debating between B+ or B-. So I just stuck with B, and I agree with both of your points, but to me, it was more so that we allowed crappy quarterbacks to get the best of us, right? And Sam, like you said, where we had we play with them the first half, then we try to figure them out the second half, make our adjustments and stuff. But when you go up against the Dallas Cowboys in week 2 and you need a victory after you look like crap to what do you want to call it? Wait a minute, I've got an echo here. Sorry guys, I don't know what's happening. But get your echo. There it is. I'm going to turn your echo cancellation on, Sam. It can't be changed. You got to try to do it. When you joined, you didn't. So.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go out. You go ahead and keep talking.
Okay. So wow. Okay. Something's happening, but that's all right. We'll keep going. But to me, I think when you allow the people to, like Cooper Rush, who's never started a game in the NFL, just to put the Cowboys in a position to win a game, and then you have some other, whatever you want to call it there. The Cleveland game was just a total disaster for and you're going to have a dud here and there. So I'm not, I don't hurt them too bad.
It won't let me turn it off because it's recording.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll just go, and all of a sudden it just. Oh well. But like I was saying, I just think that with the Dallas game, with Cooper Rush, a couple backup quarterbacks coming in, rookie quarterback, we don't do enough to make them look uncomfortable, and it came back to bite us a couple of times, and today was another example where first half. Second quarter, Pickett looked like freaking Tom Brady back there, just throwing the ball all over the place, and made the second half adjustments. And like I said, if they didn't have those 2 penalties in the third quarter where they got behind the chains at 1st and 25, this game could have had a different outcome. But I do like their defense, and especially with Awuzie out, Cam Britt Taylor, I think he played pretty well today, and I think he's just going to get better as the more reps he has, and then hopefully, we can hide Eli some more, and at least roll Jesse Bates over towards him a little bit. But I think our pass rush needs to get after them, and I guess you want to call like non-passing downs when they actually drop back to pass, because we don't get enough pressure on the quarterback consistently, and that might be because of our scheme and things, but I just think we need to do a better job at that. All right, my turn. Let's go coaching. I'm going to go coaching, and this is where, overall, I think I'm just going with Zach Taylor. I'm not, since he is the head coach, I'm going to give him a C-, because I do think that, with the injury bug, he has the team exactly where they were last year, which it's a good thing or a bad thing. It just depends. No running game, no schemes. I think, he needs to do a little better job there. But, I think he has faith in his coordinators to let them do, the job needed, especially on the defensive side of the ball. There's something to say about Zach's Culture Club. The guys believe, and they are, trying to get back into the playoff hunt, and they're right there. So, just a straight up C.
Yeah, I had him at a C+. I felt kind of overall, I love, the culture. You talked about it that Zach Taylor set, the buy-in from the guys. That's a positive. Haven't been a big fan, especially the first 4 or 5 weeks of Zach Taylor, the offensive play caller. I thought he was abysmal. It's gotten better, much like it did last year. It got better as the season went along. So hopefully that'll continue to be the trend. Defensively, I think Lou's been really good defensive coordinator. Special teams coaching, we'll just ignore that for now. So yeah, overall, just kind of a C plus. Just they're right where they were last year. It's a little bit below what our expectations coming into the season were for them. But relative to the NFL, they're, like you said, they're still right there in the mix. I mean, we gave the grade at 5-4. They're 6-4 now. They're above average team. They're trending in the right direction. I think a C plus is fair for them.
All right, Carl, let's hear it.
I went C plus as well because I factored in Anarumo in my grade because he runs the defense. So, and since I think the defense was an A minus, I'm going to give them that's going to bump up the overall grade. And I agree. I mean, Zach Taylor has them. I mean, he does have them playing hard, and they believe. And I mean, it helps to have talent for that. I mean, you could take the Texans and they can believe all they want, but they're not any good. So I mean, they don't have any talent. So it helps to have talent. Helps to have Joe Burrow. I think they should be better than. Actually, probably didn't even have them better than 6-4. Actually, when my preseason ranking or my preseason schedule thing, I know you guys both did.
Yeah, I did.
So, but they should still be better based on how the games have played. I think Zach Taylor cost them at least probably the first 2 games, the Cowboys and Steelers games. I think the offensive line coach needs to be a lot better. He's supposed to be a genius, and I've not seen that in 2 years. No genius there. So I would factor that in as well. So I'd say C plus, C to C plus.
Yeah, Pollock, I believe, is back as the line coach. This is year 1. Well, he wasn't here last year.
Yeah, Pollock was here last year.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he came back last year. Yeah.
I thought he came back this year. I thought he was new this year.
Okay. No, he came back last year.
All right. I got him to the Super Bowl then. So, but
yeah,
I mean, I think the one thing that we all can agree on is that, and even Joe Burrow agrees with us that they needed to get some reps in the preseason. 4 new offensive linemen. Burrow coming back from surgery on his appendix surgery there, and they just needed to gel. In the first 2 games, you saw it. They weren't great. Granted, you went up against 2 probably the best pass rushers in the league, and Mike Carson. But they needed to have more continuity there. So I could see us dinging Zach for that. But he comes from the McVay coaching tree where Sean McVay does that as well. But if you look at the 2 Super Bowl participants, where they at in the standings, and
Rams are not looking good.
No, not at all.
Although they got a championship.
Andy Dalton today.
Yeah,
the Red Rifle.
One thing I do want to say about Zach Taylor is he has these guys disciplined. They don't commit stupid, dumb penalties that we were so used to seeing under Marvin Lewis.
I don't know.
So,
let me fair catch it off of bounds.
Well, to be fair, I didn't. Well, I knew that that's not a valid fair catch, but I didn't realize that was actually a penalty. I just kind of thought you just kept playing, but I guess it's a penalty. So
5-yard variety, but yeah, that was kind of funny.
I'm kind of surprised he didn't fumble because it looked like there were some guys swiping at the ball. So I don't know how. I don't know how he got away with it, but.
Yeah. So, all right. So I guess special teams is last. So, I'm going to say B plus.
Whoa.
Yeah, B plus.
That's high.
It is high, but I think, I mean, your long snapper goes out, right, with an injury. I mean, that screws everything up, right? I think it took them a little too long to make the move with Huber. I think as long as, Christmas changed the field, right? I mean, he changed the field today. McPherson, I don't think he was comfortable with the timing wasn't down, those type of things. I just think that, that's an issue, but I think it's starting to work itself out because he hit some key field goals today in a very tough place to make field goals. Pittsburgh is notorious for that wind whipping and those field goals not being very good. I think kick coverage has been decent, not outstanding, but not anything where they give up big play after big play. So I think the punting was probably the worst. With Huber the last 2 or 3 games averaging like 34 yards a punt, and they finally made the move, and I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I went C-. Huber's been below average, significantly below average, and proved today that you should not keep a guy just because he can hold for field goals. So that's been a bad move on the special teams coordinator or whoever made that decision. McPherson's been below average to me compared to last year. I mean, he was way better last year than he so far has been this year. Today, again, I didn't factor today in, so I'm not talking about today. So up until today, he's been below average. So their kickoff return, I mean, they don't do anything. Kickoff returns, punt returns, they don't do anything in that. So to me, all the area, that's every area. And I think it's average to below average, especially below expectations. So I went C-.
I had him D+, and it was mostly just because of Huber. I think you can get one shank a year out of your punter and just kind of chalk it off, but one a game, and like you said, he did that the past 3 or 4 weeks. And it wasn't like he was really booting the ball before that either. Week 1, long snapper goes out. That's an aberration almost, but it still negatively affects the grade. McPherson hasn't been what he was last year. He's still been a solid kicker. If you look at his numbers compared to other kickers, he's still kind of, right in the middle there. But it hasn't been, it wasn't good. And most of that fell on Huber, in my opinion, for the overall grade.
Yep. That is true. So that is our grades for the mid-season right now. We'll definitely come back and grade them and give out our end-of-season awards here once January rolls around, end of December. We'll give out the awards for the years and stuff like that. So you guys got anything else to add for the good of the show here?
What's our prediction for next week?
Next week, Tennessee, right? At Tennessee, you said?
Yeah, I had them losing to Tennessee, I believe.
I honestly don't remember what I had. So
I think that was the second loss. I think that's what I had. I had them losing 4. And then, I think it'll be like 17. Let's go 18-17 Titans.
Yeah, I could see the Titans winning too. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Derrick Henry's a lot healthier than compared to when we played him in the playoffs. So that's going to be a different beast that we're going to have to prepare for. I don't know how many more losses the Bengals can take. I'd say for division, if we want to win the division, we can only lose 1 more game. Wild card, I think if we finish 10-7, we'll get a wild card spot. So, this isn't really a do or die game, but I still think that they need to win to keep the momentum rolling. I'm going to say 2017 Bengals.
I think I'm not 100% sure either. I think I had them losing to the Titans. But I don't know if I'm sticking to that. I think, if I had to put money on it, I'm going to go Bengals, and I'm going to say I'll say something like 24-21.
Well, I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Bengals do come out on the smiling side of the scoreboard, right?
Do you have Fat Randy kicking a game winner at the end there?
He was inactive today, so.
Yeah. Did he pull a calf?
I think he had too many pizzas last night, so.
Yeah.
No, I don't have them kicking a game winner. I think they get up and just pound the ball. And, I think we do a good job of containing Henry, but, trying to tackle him for, 40 minutes, 50 minutes is a chore.
I mean, we'll see the value of DJ Reader being back. So,
yeah. Yes, we will. All right. Next week, we'll come back here and talk Bearcats. Hopefully, playing for a American Conference Championship, and then we'll also catch up on the trip to Maui and the Phil Knight legacy for the Xaviers Musketeers. And then topic of the week, I don't know yet. Do we have anything you guys want to try to talk about? Anything exciting?
I think we just need to figure it out still.
Yeah.
Right.
TBD.
We'll do it. Talk. TBD. So with that, once again, you can find us on all of the podcasting platforms. Just search CSS, Cincy Sports Scene, and you can make contact with us on Instagram or Twitter at Cincy Sports Scene. I'm your host, Dave, and for Crawley and Sam, have a great evening, everybody.
See ya.
All right, let me stop those.